We've been in contact with HTS and with other parties.
Syria, the USA, and terrorists. What is really happening? Today in program, America and terrorists. An alliance or a clever game? Geopolitical games in the Middle East. Antony Blinken's visit. Turkey and its ambitions in Syria, the Kurds on the brink of war. Israel and Iran, an unofficial war in Syria. This is the program Behind the Scenes of Politics. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and watch until the end. The most important and shocking facts are left for the finale. The situation in Syria remains not only tense but increasingly complex. One of the most unexpected turns has been U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's admission of contacts with the terrorist group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS. This organization, which was once part of al-Qaeda, controls significant territories in northern Syria. The U.S. strategy, involving negotiations with terrorists, raises many questions. How will this affect Syria's future? And how long will the U.S. continue these talks? U.S. contacts with terrorists, meeting short-term interests or long-term strategic moves. HTS was designated a terrorist organization back in 2018, but the U.S. continues to engage with this group, claiming it is necessary for regional stabilization. This move raises doubts, especially amidst ongoing bloodshed. Blinken stated that these contacts are important to send a message to the terrorists about future conditions in Syria. But what lies behind these talks? Is it a clever political game or the pursuit of short-term interests? The question remains open, as Syria's future will largely depend on the role HTS plays in the political process, if one happens at all. HTS leader Ahmad al-Sharaa stated that his organization does not confirm direct contacts with the U.S., but emphasized that Damascus authorities are already negotiating with Western countries. This statement points to a significant shift in the political landscape. Extremist organizations are attempting to position themselves as actors on the political stage. How will this affect Syria's fate? How realistic is it that groups like HTS could become part of the country's transitional process? The Syrian crisis and international players, the role of the USA, Turkey, and Arab countries. U.S. policy in the Middle East has always been multi-layered, and Blinken's visit to Turkey and Iraq underscores its complexity. In Iraq, he spoke about supporting the restoration of territorial integrity, while in Turkey, he discussed the Kurdish issue. Turkey, as before, insists on eliminating Kurdish forces supported by the U.S. This issue remains a sticking point in U.S.-Turkey relations and intensifies the contradictions between them in the context of the Syrian crisis. How will this affect the political situation in Syria and its neighbors? Return to the region or a new strategic reality? Syria enters a new era following the unexpected fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime. At a meeting in Aqaba, the foreign ministers of 8 Arab League countries issued a joint statement confirming their support for the transitional process. They emphasized the necessity of forming an inclusive government that represents all ethnic, religious, and political groups in Syria. This diplomatic gesture marks a significant shift in Arab countries' strategy. They no longer see the Syrian crisis as an internal issue, but as a threat to regional stability that requires immediate solutions. A key aspect of the minister's statement was the need to maintain state institutions to prevent further chaos. This approach aligns with the provisions of UN Security Council Resolution 2254, which calls for a political settlement of the conflict through dialogue and elections. However, an important question remains. Will the new transitional process truly be inclusive? Representatives of the opposition-established interim government have stated that they intend to protect the rights of all citizens and uphold the rule of law. But how does this align with the real political situation in the country? Israel and Iran. Unofficial war in Syria. Syria continues to descend into chaos as Israel conducts airstrikes against Iranian and Hezbollah targets in Syria, claiming these are necessary for its national security. These strikes heighten tensions and pose a threat to regional stability. Why does Israel continue its aggressive policy, despite the risks? Syria's future remains highly uncertain. In the north and northeast of the country, clashes continue between the Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, and the Syrian National Army, SNA, backed by Turkey. International efforts to resolve the conflict face difficulties in reaching consensus between internal and external forces, which only exacerbates the situation. Syria remains a battleground for both internal and external forces. World powers such as the USA, Turkey, Israel, and Russia are actively involved in the Syrian conflict, making the political landscape even more complicated and unstable. The Syrian issue may seem resolved, but in reality, the conflict continues to smolder beneath the surface. The war has left deep scars, destroyed cities, millions of refugees, and unexploded mines that continue to claim the lives of civilians. Eastern Syria is still littered with deadly traps, mines and munitions left from decades of fighting. Every step can be fatal, especially for those returning to their homes hoping to start a new life. The conflict, which seemed to have ended, still poses the question: will Syrians ever find true peace while the war's aftermath continues to threaten their safety and lives? Victory or defeat for Russia in Syria? Russia has long played a key role in Syria, supporting Bashar al-Assad, especially after its intervention in 2015. However, with the emergence of a new interim administration in Syria, the future of Russia's military presence in the country has become uncertain. On the one hand, Russia is maintaining its strategically important military bases in Syria, Maymim and Tartus, which can be seen as a victory. These bases play a crucial role in securing Russia's influence in the Mediterranean and Africa. Tartus is Russia's only repair and resupply hub in the Mediterranean, while Hmeimim is a key point for operations in the region. Thus, Russia is strengthening its positions despite the political instability in Syria. On the other hand, Russia is withdrawing some of its forces, including heavy equipment, which could be seen as a weakening of its positions. The political instability in Syria and the potential loss of control over some territories could be viewed as a defeat in the long term. So, what is it? Victory or defeat for Russia? This is a question that can be answered in different ways. The victory lies in maintaining key military bases that secure Russia's strategic interests in the region. However, political instability, the uncertainty of Syria's future, and the possible loss of control over parts of the territory may call into question the long-term stability of these positions.